Yo, what's up? It's your brother. And hopefully your friend, Big Here. Rock Quincy in the building. Each one teach one. Man, I think this is probably the first video I done made since I let my little beard grow in. I remember when I was 50, man. I still got that video too. I made a video with all this gray hair on my face, right? And that was 6 years ago, right? Almost 7. And at that time, man, I wasn't really just ready to see a whole lot of gray in my face, right? I just couldn't. I was like, made me look old, you know what I'm saying? It's 6 years later, though. And one thing about it, man, I done earned every last one of them. This is my wisdom right here. That's the wisdom right there. 56 years of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. You know what I'm talking about? That ain't what I cut this video on for. Man, what I want to talk about, man, is standing in your power, right? Owning your power, owning your divine and spiritual power, and standing in it, man, because, you know, I attend my recovery meetings, as most of you probably know. You know, 12-step recovery program. I'm not going to say which ones because I don't promote them. I have to respect the tradition. Just know it's a 12-step recovery program. Pick one. If you know my story, you know who I am, then you know what I'm talking about. And, you know, ones that I go to in person and online, right? And then I listen to people, right? Particularly religious-minded people, you know. Our folk religious as hell. Black folk, my people. And as I listen to them talk, you know, I listen to them talk about their relationship with God. You know, I hear them confess this relationship, man, talk about, you know, how they saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost, those that's really church folk. But as I listen, right, I don't hear the power. All I hear you speaking from a place of weakness and groveling. You know what I'm saying? And I don't get that. And it's been a while, man. I mean, I get it. I understand it, right? But that's what I'm gonna talk about this for a minute, cause I need y'all to understand a couple things, man. I remember back, man, around about 2008. Yeah, I left the church in 07, right? You know, and I started seeking other forms of spirituality, right? Well, I left the church and I knew I had to adhere to some form of spirituality in order to maintain the progress that I've made in my recovery. So, you know, I migrated to Islam, studied Islam for a couple of years. But in that process, you know, it took me a while to divest. It took me at least a good 5 years or so to divest myself of the doctrine that had been put in me, the things that I had been indoctrinated in since I was a child, which is Christianity. It took me a good 5 or 6 years just to really deplete myself of that. And I don't really know if I've done it all. I believe, you know, we the sum total of all our experiences, right? So I believe that, man, there's going to be a part of me that's always going to be a Christian. I'm always going to have that Southern Baptist Christian thing about me, you know. Like even now, like when I do my music sets and I'm DJing, I end them all with a couple of gospel songs and a DMX prayer and the Million Man March Pledge by Minister Farrakhan, right? You know? And I believe in the truths of the Bible, like the most honorable Elijah Muhammad taught, right? So, you know, back in 08, when I was divesting myself and I migrated away from Christianity and the teachings of the church and the doctrine of Christianity and total depravity, you know. I was a born sinner and all this stuff here that it teaches. And I was in the spiritual valley at the time, man, you know. So, you know, I was praying, man. I still pray. But it's a science to it now would be, you know, it's like when you say you pray, like who you praying to. But I ain't gonna get into that. So at that time, I was praying, and as I got on my knees, because I'm serious about my prayer life, and I got on my knees and started praying, man, and it came to me, you know. at that time I say God told me something, but you know, I don't say it like that now. That's religious language. That's church language. I say I came to the realization. I came to the realization, man, that the very thing I was praying for that I already had. You know, that God had already put in me everything that I need to function and overcome with. It's my job to sit down and meditate and go within to find it and use it. So I ain't gotta come from this groveling place, this weak, you know. Even if I'm in a weakened state, I don't have to project that and emanate that energy out of me. All I have to do, man, is go and pray. And since that time, I've learned how to own and stand in my power, yo. Because I have a relationship with the divine. You know, and even for church folk, for you Christians and Bible believers. And as I say, I believe in the truths of the Bible, and I'm going to tell you a couple of them that I believe. One of them is where it says that for God haven't given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of sound mind. So if God hasn't, if divine consciousness, because to me divinity is energy and consciousness, if this doesn't produce a spirit of fear and it produces a spirit of power, should I not reflect that power in everything I do and who I am? If I'm imbued with this power because I'm connected to the power source, should I not reflect that power? Should you not hear that power when I speak? Because I'm very assertive in the way I speak, man. I don't come from no groveling ass place. I can't do that, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I know I'm a human being, but when I connect to the divinity and I stay connected to the divinity within me, a spirit of power is born. That's the point I'm trying to make. You know, Yeshua say, better known as Jesus, he say, I can do nothing of myself, I'm nothing. It's the Father that doeth all the works. Okay, well that Father, because I don't believe in sky daddies and things, you know what I'm saying? I don't believe in divinity outside of myself. I can't do nothing, and I can do all things through Christ that strengthened me. Well, that Father is Christ. That Christ, that KRST, came from Kemet, energy, the divine energy within. That's what I can do all things through. I can do all things. When I stay connected to that power, I can do all things. See, where they got us, where the mind fuck is they give us all these biblical stories and metaphors of what divinity is and what can it accomplish. And we think since it's so demonstrable and it's so spectacular that we separate ourselves from it and can't do it. Nah, man. Nah. That's a mind fuck. And that stems from a lack of understanding, you know. When you start studying things like universal law, right? Immutable universal laws, right? And you get an understanding of who you are and your own divinity, then you understand when folk like me say, man, I'm God. So if I'm God, I'm going to speak with the power of God. Am I the totality of it? No. Am I an expression of it? Yes. And as no expression of the divine that's weak and groveling. So man, if you claiming to have a relationship with that man, and you always coming from a place of spiritual weakness, you need to re-examine that relationship. You know, it's like I like two analogies I like to use, you know. Like a car. If you take a car, right? Car got a lot of horsepower. Like my pickup truck got an F-150. 1,500 horsepower. But if you take the battery out of it, then it's just a big piece of steel and rubber that can't do nothing. But once you hook it up to the battery, the power source, then the power is imbued. Now all this power is there available. Same way with my divinity, man. If I stay connected to the divine essence of who I am, I'm imbued with the power that comes from the source. I'm an expression of that power. I own that. I stand in that. Also, you take a large body of water, the Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, one of these, a lake, one of the Great Lakes, right? Big body of water, a lot of power and energy. And you take a bucket, you go get a bucket out the Pacific Ocean and you set it there, right? And now let's anthropomorphize that bucket. You know, the same thing we do with divinity. Anthropomorphize just means we give it the qualities of a man. We make it a man. We give it seeing and hearing, everything a man can do, this power and energy can do, that bucket of water can do. Let's anthropomorphize it, right? Now that bucket stands up and, like me, start walking around talking about, man, I'm the Pacific Ocean. You hear me say, I'm God. Well, see, that bucket know the source that it came from. He can't say it's anything else because the same thing that's in the bucket is out there except for the mammal life, you know, the aquatic life. Of course, it ain't no whales and sharks and fish in the bucket. But I'm talking about the water itself came from the source. So when that bucket says I'm the Pacific Ocean, everybody else is looking at it like it's crazy. Like this bucket here, this is a bucket of water talking about it's the Pacific Ocean. Do you know how big the Pacific Ocean is? You talk about you the Pacific, yeah, okay. Man, that bucket of water crazy. You crazy. That's because you don't understand, and that you don't understand what that bucket understands. That bucket understands the source from which it came. And he's standing in it. He's claiming it. That's what I do. See, I know black folk is a God body on the planet. I done studied man, ancient cultures and how they related to the divinity, man. And all of them, man, say, man, that, you know, they deify it, you know, give it what you call quote unquote gods, deify the energy, deify the consciousness. But that's all it is. Every deification is just an expression of the consciousness and the energy. And that consciousness and energy is within us. We just have to learn how to identify it and claim it and walk in it and get away from that European corruption and all that bullshit that they done taught us about what and who divine is. Because they want you to stay disconnected. They don't want you to own your power. They don't want you knowing who and what you are as far as your divinity is concerned. They can't control you when you know that. But as long as they can keep you fearful and keep you weak and groveling, then yeah, they got you right where they want you, man. You know what I'm saying? So rethink, reevaluate, and reconsider, man, your relationship with the divine. And understand, man, that if you truly connected to the divine, you should be imbued with that power. Matter of fact, I'm not going to say should be imbued with that power. You are that power. It's just that you haven't learned how to stand in it. You haven't learned how to own it. You still got that mind fuck going on that you done separated yourself from the divine. So you feel like you can't do nothing with it. You always got to grovel and pray, and God help me please, and God this and that. You in that first stage of evolution of man. See, I made a video about the 3 stages of man. I ain't gonna talk about it right now, but there's 3 stages of evolution that people go through. And most people stay in the first evolution. There's 3 stages of religion. Most people stay in the first one. You know, get off the branches, man. Get you some root knowledge. Do some reading and studying, you know what I'm saying? That's how I got the knowledge. That's where my understanding come from. Reading and studying and learning. Stop separating yourself from the power. Connect to the power. Own the connection. Protect the connection. And live and stand in that power. Peace. I'm out.